Hello and a very warm welcome to my YouTube. My name's Chris and I'm taking a look at the Supermarine Spitfire Mark XII. Now this was the first Spitfire to be fitted with the Griffon engine, which gave it considerably more speed and power. It could also mix it with the Focke-Wulf 190, which was a German aircraft way ahead of its time when it first came onto the scene. It was extremely fast. It had clip wings to assist its manoeuvrability and speed at lower level. It was based at RAF Bolt Head in June 1944, and they helped cover the Normandy landings. Now the aircraft I'm particularly interested in is the Spitfire that was with the serial number EN224, and as you can see from the footage, they were flying against the 109 and the 190. They were also attacking ground targets in northern France, and amongst these were the German KFZD half-track, which often had anti-aircraft guns mounted on them, and or they were used for towing heavy vehicles. They could sit 8 to 12 troops in them, so they were a versatile and adaptable heavy machine that could carry out a variety of purposes. They were being attacked by 41 Squadron flying their Mark XII Spitfires, and they were hitting them very hard to great effect. Now the Mark XII that now bears the civil registration Golf Foxtrot X-Ray India India was originally built at High Post Aerodrome in 1942 and fitted with a Griffon III engine. Its first flight was in December 1942. It was delivered to the Royal Air Force as EN224. Arrived with 41 Squadron on May the 15th, 1944, and the squadron code was EB-L. It carried out over 50 sorties, and one of these several of these operations were from RAF Bolt Head. Now it suffered a landing accident and it was struck by another Spitfire Mark XII EN221 at RAF West Malling in June 1944. It went to Westland Aircraft Limited in Yeovil. It returned to 33 maintenance unit in December 1944. It was really then not flown operationally, and it was used as an instructional airframe until 1960 at Cranfield. It was acquired by the noted Spitfire collector Peter Arnold, who picked it up from Cranfield in June 1973 with a view to bringing it back to restoration. He has since sold it on to another company, and it's now being, or it's planned to be, restored to flight at Air Leasing. We all wait with interest to see what happens, because this will be the only Mark XII Spitfire flying, and it is being restored to flight. My interest for the Mark XII Supermarine Spitfire that was powered by the Griffon engine started really because the 41 Squadron were based at RAF Bolt Head in Salcombe, South Devon, during the early part of June 1944, and 41 Squadron provided air support in the lead up to and throughout the D-Day landings. They were in fact flying from RAF Bolt Head to Normandy up until the 19th of June 1944, and one of the Spitfires that was flown by one of the pilots was a pilot officer, Peter Gibbs, and he was flying the Mark XII Spitfire with the number EN224. Now this aircraft is being restored to flight. Currently it's at Aircraft Leasing, and the parts of it are going to be under restoration to flight. But this aircraft was flown from RAF Bolt Head in the early part of June 1944. Now, as we've spoken about, 41 Squadron provided air support in the lead up to and throughout the D-Day landings, flying from RAF Bolthead, Salcombe, South Devon. On D-Day itself, 6th of June 1944, 3 pilots were hit by flak over the bridgehead and sadly one was killed. On the 19th of June, however, 41 Squadron was pulled off air support for the bridgehead in France and were deployed up to the Kent coast, and they were involved in the destruction of Germany's newest weapon, the V1 flying bomb. On the 28th of August 1944, the squadron claimed its last of the 53 V1s that they destroyed during the war. Several pilots succeeded in bringing them down after expending all their ammunition by flying alongside them and placing their wingtips underneath that of the V1. The wind movement between both wingtips was sufficient to upset the V1's flying bomb's gyroscope and send it to the ground. Now, by late September, the squadron was re-equipped with the Spitfire Mark XIV, and in 1944, during these ensuing 3 months, they participated in the Big Ben operations against V2 launch sites, in Operation Market Garden at Arnhem and Nijmegen, and in operations at Walcheren campaign and the Allied oil campaign over Germany. The squadron moved to the continent in early December 1944, making its base at Diest in Belgium. Ground targets were the squadron's chief prey. As a member of 125 Wing, and the unit attacked anything moving on the road or canal in Germany. Operating so close to the ground, flak also took its toll on the pilots. 1 pilot was killed, 3 were wounded, and 2 were shot down and taken prisoner. In April 1945, the squadron moved forward with the advancing front and made its first base in Germany, just southwest of the town of Celle, 140 miles due west of Berlin, and only a short distance southeast of Bergen-Belsen, the concentration camp. During April and early May 1945, German resistance crumbled. 41 Squadron claimed 33 enemy aircraft destroyed, 2 probables, and 3 damaged in the air, and 21 damaged on the ground. In the 23 days preceding the 3rd of May 1945, this was the date of the squadron's final claim, and their only casualty for the same period was no pilots killed or wounded in action, and no aircraft lost to enemy action, although some did sustain combat damage. I really hope you found this short film interesting. It was certainly interesting for me because the aircraft were flying from my local airfield at RAF Bolthead. Now, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get my films shown to a wider audience, and having a few more subscribers and people sharing my videos would be very, very much appreciated. And in conclusion to my film, I just thought it'd be interesting to take a look at the 2 aircraft that were very fought against each other, and that was the Spitfire with the Griffon engine and the Focke-Wulf 190. Now, this film footage was taken in fairly recent times, where 2 restored wartime aircraft were flying. Interestingly enough, they were flying in Germany. I hope it's all been of some interest. I really enjoyed putting it all together, and please do ponder having a subscribe, sharing my films around, and I really look forward to seeing you on the next film. I've got some really interesting content coming up. Take the greatest of care, and I wish you all the very best. Take care. Cheers for now.